myself out.
I am afraid of...
I'm terrified and paralyzed by...
I am deathly afraid of...
Welcome to the Sum of All Fears podcast with your host, me, Ryan Perio. Hi, and welcome back to the Sum of All Fears podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Perio. This week, my guest is fellow podcaster Andrew Turner. Andrew has a podcast called Fort Worth Roots, where he speaks with artists and business owners in and around the Fort Worth area. I actually met Andrew on a podcasting Facebook group where he had just launched his podcast with about 10 episodes. As we talked, I realized he also lived in the DFW area, and we spent a Sunday in late July podcasting here in my apartment. Andrew has an interesting fear of cotton balls. What? That prompted a load of questions from me and my friends. This was also my first in-person interview, so there were a lot of lessons learned. Apologies for any echo or bleed over, but enough rambling. Let's get into my interview with Andrew Turner. We're here with friend and fellow podcaster Andrew Turner. Andrew has just recently launched a new podcast called Fort Worth Roots, which is a lot of artists here in the Fort Worth and maybe some Dallas guys, and how they got started and what inspired them to pursue what they're doing. Andrew, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, thanks for coming. Sorry for the mess. I've lived here 10 years.
You should see my place.
I've lived here 10 years, and this is literally like I have redone this in the last 9 months because I work from home too. I have a day job. And so I've been sitting in this apartment from pretty much almost I wake up to go to sleep. And so I have bought that bar, this rug, all my patio is all just projects because I'm never, as a comic, I never stayed here.
Folks, he's being modest. This place is spotless. Don't listen to him.
It is not spotless.
Looks good, man.
But it's just one of those things where you're here and you don't realize until you live in your house for a long period of time, like things that just annoy you.
Yeah.
And so I've slowly been like,
well, this is your environment. You know, you're used to getting out and encountering other stuff, and you've been stuck here. So you're hyper-focused on your new permanent reality.
Permanent reality. Don't say that.
Well, permanent for now.
Yeah. I believe comedy will come back because I believe there will be a low-cost night out, and that's what I think comedy will become. Is it won't be like $20 tickets at the door plus 2 drinks. It'll be free admission, 2 drinks, and I think everybody will harp on that because times are tough and they want to go out but not spend a lot. And so
listen, as soon as the governor gives the green light, people are going to be out. I'm sure of that.
Yes.
I'm going nuts. I need to go out. So, and I'm kind of a homebody, so that's saying something.
I have never been more excited to go grocery shopping in my life than I have during this pandemic.
I know, I'm the same way.
I get in my car, I'm like, oh, I forgot what this feels like to be in my, because I spent so much time in my car. That's my writing room. That's my workshop for comedy is the car because
I write in your car?
In my head, like I will think up bits and stuff.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's while you're driving. That's when I start not focusing on the road and be like, oh, you know, what'd be funny is if this happened or. And that's how I write, just driving around.
Do you keep the radio off when you drive?
I will listen to either music, sports, or podcasts. So if it's baseball season, I'll have Eric Nadel and the Rangers on, even though I'm an Astros fan. Mm-hmm. But I will listen to mostly sports and podcasts, or sometimes I'll listen to comics. There's like comedy radio.
When I'm at work, I keep podcasts on all day. It keeps me entertained. It makes my day go by faster. But when I'm in my private vehicle, I almost never have the radio on. And that's a great time to just let the brain go crazy. Sometimes it's real negative thoughts that you got to shut out somehow. Yeah. But
that's a Taco Bell drive-thru probably at that point. You're just, it's a lot of negative thoughts. I don't think anybody has positivity in that in any fast food drive-thru at dark.
Yeah. If you're in the Taco Bell drive-thru, you've been having some negative thoughts for the past hour, probably. I mean, you hate yourself.
I will tell you one drive-thru I will never go through. Chick-fil-A.
Really?
It's just so menacing. It looks like a concert.
Dude, you've never been through a Chick-fil-A drive-thru?
I will go inside and order it to go.
Listen, People are starting to format their drive-thrus after Chick-fil-A. They got it down, dude. Like it's a 2-lane.
See, I can't do 2-lane. How do you know you're getting my order right? How do you know which person? What if someone cuts me off and gets in front of me and then gets my food?
I think we just identified your fear, but don't worry, man. They got it under control.
And why is not one of them HOV for the person that's got like 10 orders that's right in front of me every time that has to call? Like they can't even get the order right. They have to pick up the phone and call like, hey, what did you want again? They don't have.
Yeah, if anybody from Chick-fil-A admin is listening to this, you need a dedicated HOA lane. Get them their own lane. That way people like me don't have to wait.
Yeah.
And they get special service. Everybody wins.
Yeah. And not only that, like they have to do that forensics where they have to go through every bag. Like they just pull like 2 feet forward so you can't get your food.
Yeah.
But they pull forward enough that you think they're leaving, and then they just sit there and go through their 10 bags of food.
That's what the horn was invented for, I think. Just lay on it.
I'm not built for horn use. I am not allowed to be road rage. I can't bench press 100 pounds. There's no way I can have road rage. I have road insecurity at
Gotta
best.
get your gains up, man.
I do.
Hey, if their door is like close enough to that drive-thru, though, they're not getting out. What are they going to do? Go through the back? That minivan's not built for that.
I don't want to risk it. I don't need more people knowing how cowardly I am.
However, it would be hilarious watching you like bang up 6 cars trying to run your way out of there.
I have tried to back out of a drive-thru before.
Really? How'd that work out?
Did not. I just went forward through it, and I was like, never mind. I just said, never mind. Just drove on. Because that was when McDonald's first did the 24-hour breakfast, and I was like, I love their sausage biscuits.
Right.
And they didn't have sausage biscuits, and I was like, you've got to be fucking shitting me.
Oh, so you didn't already order?
No, I didn't order.
There's no harm.
And I was trying to back up. I was like, never mind. And then the car was behind me. I was like, well, I guess we're going forward.
I pictured you ordering a 50-piece chicken nugget and then realizing that you didn't need that in your life and then just leaving it there.
No, I will eat my feelings.
That's
however
fine,
negative.
That's fine.
However negative they may be.
Nobody got left holding the bag.
Yeah,
so
true. I have a bit about that too, about Whataburger taking so long for their food. I hate, my biggest pet peeve with drive-thrus is when you order and they don't have it ready. And
right.
They wait for you to get to the, we're if you just no, I'm not going to pull around. This is the whole part of the drive-thru. Like, we have now arranged parking because you guys can't get your shit together and serve food in a timely manner. I have to sit in a parking spot and wait for you like I'm a dad just waiting for my kid to get off work. Like, this is the next level of sad. It's like, tell me back at the window. Remember back in the 80s and 90s, if they didn't have stuff, they would tell you at the window as you're ordering, so you could call an audible. You got hamburgers that someone didn't want. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in the drive-thru. Just me and you. Just me and you right now.
Yeah, that's always been a downfall for Whataburger, man. That's got to be the slowest drive-thru, right?
Like, are they going to Kroger? Are you just getting this order, getting a shopping list together and going to buy this stuff separately?
I don't know why it takes so long.
They won't make it till you order it. That's not the point of fast food. All right, sir? It is. The idea is it's supposed to be ready so quick.
Agreed.
I've never had Taco Bell take a long time.
That's because it all comes out of a damn tube, man. It's literally in a caulk gun. They just squirt it in there.
That's how it should be. Like, I'm not. If that's what it takes, if you just need your Whataburger A1 steak burger A1 and a caulking gun, I'll get it. I will give you a caulking gun.
How about if you just drive up to the window, they just shoot it in your mouth, and then you go about your day?
It's probably where we're heading. Like, just hamsters, just like a little. Just an Amazon Prime. Like, I've just now done Uber Eats, and
did it work out well?
It works out now because they just leave at the door.
Yeah,
like, it's a sad package. Just like somebody just left me. I just opened the door, there's a pizza box just laying there.
I guess I'll eat this now.
It's like the saddest pay it forward. Like, they just know, they can just hear the crying in the living room, and they just.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but I haven't done Uber Eats or anything like it. So, but yeah, how depressing. You open the door and...
Yeah, they just tell you what time it's going to be there, and you just have a rendezvous with food.
How long until it just starts showing up in a trash can? And
at this point, not very much longer.
We are raccoons. We're just like one step behind.
Yes. So, tell me about your podcast.
So, I'm a big fan of JRE. That's probably, definitely my go-to podcast. And I was devouring podcast episodes to the point where I think I was listening to maybe 10 different podcasts Typically I'll have like a 12 to 15 hour day. And like I said, I listen to podcasts at work. And at one point I was just like, I'm out of episode and I have to wait a week now. And so I would find more and more and more. And eventually I was just like, I'm just going to make my own podcast. I'm going to put out a ridiculous number of episodes so that I never run out of material.
Mm-hmm.
But a step further than that, I wanted to meet interesting people. I wanted to have conversations with all sorts of, individuals that are all different walks of life. That's what I like most about podcasts is the interaction between the host and somebody that you would never typically talk to, and you get to be involved in those conversations vicariously through the host and listen in on it, which is great. But I wanted to be a little more involved. So I just did it, man. And I had the idea for probably a couple of years. And I was just at a point in life where I decided to pull the trigger. Had nothing to do with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of podcasts got started at the same time, right around the coronavirus era. But it had nothing to do with that. And it was just the timing. I was actually working more than I've worked in a long time. I was putting in 60 to 70 hours. So it was actually the worst time possible for me to start it. But it just kind of worked out that way. So
what do you do for 60 to 70 hours a week?
So my daytime job right now, I am driving a mixer truck. So those big annoying trucks that go really slow down the road.
Mm-hmm. But that's stressful. That's a time crunch because most people don't know that you have a cement mix, and if you don't get it to a certain amount of time,
Yeah, you're right. It is a time sensitive load, but as the driver, it's like, okay, this is where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
This is my load. You don't really have to worry about that. It's going to get there on time or it's not. As long as you don't pull over on the side of the road and take a 2-hour nap, you're okay.
So you have to clean out the drums too. Like I've seen that on Mythbusters of how they clean, like they get into the little cubby hole.
Yeah. What did Mythbusters say? I mean, the dynamite thing?
Yeah, like the dynamite to blow up the
That
cement.
was true, right?
They couldn't do it because they had too much mix and it completely froze. So it was like a half full cement truck because they were going to try to do it and they put too much cement in there.
So that was it? No, it's extremely dangerous to clean one of those out because what you have to do is you have to get inside of them and then you use a pneumatic chipper, air hammer to chip it out. So like you're inside of it and then you have to like chip above you and beside you and stuff's going to be falling down on your head. So it's actually so problematic that there are special companies that do that now. Mm-hmm. And most, I might be wrong about this, but all the companies I know that have mixer trucks, they outsource that to somebody that's willing to take on the liability.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's probably a lot of health claims. So acoustic-wise, I'm sure there's a lot of tinnitus and everything else with all the ears ringing. And
I've done it one time from outside the truck, like just chipping what I could hit from outside, and I'm sure it was devastating to my hearing, but my wrist, the impact that you're taking, because that pneumatic hammer is just going back and forth, and that shock has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's going into your wrist. The next day after I got done doing that, I was probably chipping on that truck for a couple hours. My wrists were so damn sore.
just trying to control.
Well, and just taking that shock. And I don't know, first hour of the day, I was like, what the hell is wrong with my wrist? And I was like, oh, yeah.
That would be, I couldn't, as a person that's not strong, I was like, I can't imagine like the tediousness. And there's some scary footages online too. There's a cement mixer that toppled over one time.
Oh, that's got to be the most dangerous vehicle on the road. And whoever's listening to this, stay away from them. Never drive behind one because there's stuff that just falls off the back end of it all the time. Yeah. And then the modern mixer trucks nowadays, like the newer ones, are actually pretty safe as far as like their ability to stop. But you still have companies out there with old trucks on the road, and they meet all the standards by Department of Transportation.
Barely,
dude. It's hard to stop those older ones.
It's hard to stop them, period. They're all
Well, yeah, even mine, my newer one, I've got like a brand new mixer truck. It's very nice. And, I'll have people cut me off, slam on their brakes to get in front of me. It's almost like they want to die. But, sometimes it's hard. You got to understand that there's 80,000 pounds on that load, and a mixer truck has like a shorter wheelbase. So imagine an 18-wheeler, same capacity, but it's got a much smaller wheelbase, which means it's easier to tip over and it's harder to stop.
It's not a cornering vehicle for sure.
No. That's when you see them go toppling,
Yeah.
in a corner usually. And in a situation like that with whether it's a mixer truck or an 18-wheeler or any large freight vehicle, if you cut one of those guys off and it's something that's going to put your life in danger, you might have just killed 2 people, yourself and that driver, because that's his livelihood. A CDL driver, man, if they have a wreck like that, that could cost them their job.
Yeah.
So they're going to do everything in their power not to hit you. So you literally might kill 2 people by being an idiot.
Or
So just stay out of
kill
their way.
one
Don't
person
cut 'em off.
and, ruin the career of somebody else.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that driver is going to, he'll drive through a wall before he'll hit you. So anyway, wow, that got dark quick. Do you do a lot of dark comedy?
Not really. I'm not a dark person. I'm just an honest person, and I just talk about real situations for me.
There you go. That's good.
Like, going to Walmart and things like that.
I saw that joke, dude. That had me cracking up, man.
It's real. It's real. I still have the Faded Glory shirts to prove it. I'm actually wearing one.
All right.
This is actually a Faded Glory t-shirt that I have, and I was like, are you serious? You're going to call this Faded Glory? I know. I already know about my glory at Walmart. You don't need to tell me with a clothing label. What passive-aggressive person just decided that, you know what, let's just put the biggest insult. It's like they're sarcastic, like all their cheap products, good value. No, it's not.
It should say good enough value.
It is. Like Kroger has one that's like, psst. It is like PSST. That's what it's like. It's like, psst. Like, hey, I'm cheaper. But like, people that look at it like, psst, this guy's broke. You don't want to date this guy. He's definitely not got his life in any shape or form.
Yeah, it's good observations.
They are good observations. So you do a podcast. You also drive a cement truck. I started my podcast kind of the same way. As I wanted to do this 2 years ago. I bought all this equipment like a year ago.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't want to do a comedy podcast. I started thinking back about things I'm entertained by.
Mm-hmm.
I love talking about people, what they're afraid of. Because it will be, you'll have weird fears that come up out of nowhere, and it's like, you're afraid of that, and then you just like, how did that happen? And as a comic, we make a little fun of it, but we're not like, oh, you're such a bitch, or like, we don't make you feel bad about it, but it's just funny to us. Like sometimes, like, oh, you're afraid of karaoke? What, sing-alongs? You have some traumatic sing-along? And I was in choir, like in grade school and stuff, and I just was terrified of having my voice be the only voice.
So you hated choir?
I did.
I did too. I did choir briefly. I can't even remember what grade it was. I hated it.
Yeah.
Hated
And so, and I just feel like as a karaoke person, like I have to sing as it was intended. I can't mess this up with my shitty voice.
Well, on behalf of everybody that's ever hated a karaoke night, thank you. And more people should share your point of view. Like, hey, I can't sing this song. I shouldn't.
Unfortunately, my co-host Mallory did not agree. She has her go-to song. She sings "I'll Make Love to You" by Boyz II Men as one of her go-tos.
Okay, all right. Well, at least it's not me and Bobby McGee. Have you ever heard that train wreck? No. It seems like it comes up every time you go to karaoke. There's always some.
I always get the journey.
It's always three. It's always three really drunk chicks that want to sing me and Bobby McGee, and it's always the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it's always Journey. Someone always does "Don't Stop Believing," and I'm like, you should have stopped. You should have stopped believing before you even got to this karaoke night. You should have stopped believing when you look at that outfit in the mirror and thought, "This is what I look like going out tonight."
You're talking about me. You could definitely get me drunk enough to sing that song.
I'm sure I could get drunk enough to sing. I get real nervous as somebody that does stand-up comedy as a center stage. I've never been that person. That's what's such a shock to me, is that I'm good at this, is that as I did breakdancing and stuff like that, but I've always stayed out of the spotlight.
Right.
I would always be around it and just have fun with it. But with comedy, like, there's no excuses. You have to go out there for like 30 to 45 minutes to entertain.
Yeah.
And I did it. I wanted to do it since before I started. I started in 2006. And I probably got the idea to do it in 2003 when I lost my engineering job. My first one, I was like, what do you really want to do? Because I was literally just sitting there at this minimum wage job, just like, just thinking about life. Like, what do you want to do? And that's my story about comedy.
Yeah.
And so,
Okay.
so I did that, but I landed a nice job with an insurance company. And so I've been doing that by day and comedy by night.
That seems like such a crazy mix. Do you ever... No, what kind of insurance? Do you specialize in like a certain type of insurance?
I just do tech support for them.
Oh, okay. I as soon as you said that, I just thought of a comedian trying to sell somebody life insurance. So I was going to ask you if you brought some comedy to that.
Another thing I won't do is sell. I'm not you have to feel like you have to be a spotlight person, and I'm not. I'm just too honest, and I can't sell you on something that I feel like you don't want.
I get that intimately, because I was trying my hand at roof sales, and I got on board with this roofing company, and they're like, you got to go and you got to knock doors in neighborhoods. And I'm like, okay, that sounds terrible, but if that's the way we do it. And it was just as bad as I thought, and everybody has to, if you're going to be in sales, direct sales, door knocking sales, you got to pick up this phony ass persona. You've experienced it. Your listeners have experienced it. Every time somebody comes and knocks on your door to sell you a product, it's that phony ass fake.
Now it's the unknown caller. Now it's the unknown cell phone caller.
Well, that's a whole nother damn thing. But yeah, same. You got a person. That's not a real human on the other end of the phone or showing up at your door. That's a personality, and they have to do that because just talking to people like a normal human doesn't work. I guess because that's what I tried and I failed. I struck out for like 6 months. I sold like 3 roofs, and it was just people I knew.
So basically, I did this podcast about fears, and I was like, I love talking about fears, And so like I said, I've been practicing. I had got all this equipment, and then I just couldn't work up the nerve to do face-to-face interviews. I was like, how am I gonna bring people here to my apartment, which I did in this situation? Am I going to go to them? So I invited you on. You mentioned your fear, which is really unique. Go ahead and tell the listeners what you're afraid of.
All right. So I don't know if I should build suspense or tell the backstory. I'm afraid of cotton balls.
Cotton balls, like the little.
Everybody knows cotton balls, right?
But I just want to make sure I heard that right. Because when you said that, I'm like, how do you go to doctor's offices? How
the closest thing that I can handle to a cotton ball is a Q-tip. My hands are starting to sweat right now.
That was one of my co-host questions. She was like, does it Q-tip? Where does that fall?
Yeah. Well, I think that's necessary, but yeah. So cotton balls inside like pill bottles. I got to get somebody else to manage that situation
for me. So is it a tacky
for
thing? Is it just a touch?
It's a texture thing for sure.
Okay.
That and the sound. And my palms are completely drenched now.
So the best I can guess, because I've just tried to figure out how someone would develop a fear
this should be good.
Of cotton balls, is that something happened when you were a kid and all you can relate to is the cotton ball like you had a deep cut and you remember like the iodine on the cotton ball or something?
I don't know, man. As far back as I can think, I just remember the first time I noticed I had this kind of texture problem. Started with those foam packing, like peanuts, I think they call them. And I just couldn't handle the texture or the sound that it made when they'd rub on each other. So that started it. And oddly enough, I don't have trouble with those now. But that moved on to cotton balls, and I don't even know what age I was when I realized I couldn't handle it, but it got nasty fast.
Yeah, I'm in my 40s and I take a lot of medication, so it's one of those things where, like, do you just have to have somebody else?
Well,
do you have somebody else that is designated to pull cotton for you out of a pill bottle?
Every single girl I've ever dated knows that I have this fear. It's not something I talk about, right? Why would you tell people this? Because the last time I did tell somebody, I was on a deployment, and the guys found out that I was afraid of cotton balls. these are the worst people to instill a little bit of faith in and tell them your fear, because they're going to use it against you. So I came back one day from wherever I went, and they had glued cotton balls to the handle to my door locker. So I had to deal with that situation. But yeah, every single female I've ever dated has had to, take the cotton balls out of the medicine, and that's their task.
You just nonchalantly tell them, hey, can you open that pill bottle for me? Just haven't gotten around to it. And then just don't tell them that.
Yeah, I'll try to pass it off for sure.
I feel like I'm surprised that ex-girlfriends haven't come to your house with like cotton balls. Just
that is surprising. I agree with you.
Like while you sleep, just have them there. Just as you wake up, just wake up to cotton ball.
I can't remember any specific incident. I can't say that word right now. Instances. But I vaguely remember being chased around a few times with cotton balls. Yeah.
I'm just dumbfounded.
I don't know where else we go with this. Oh, you've got a whole book there. Oh, good.
I have. So the earliest memories it was packing peanuts, and then it graduated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, like, could you pull it out with pliers? Like, have you had to use tools?
Even that would be difficult. I've done it before.
Okay.
I've
like a back scratcher, like you're just getting tips.
Whatever I can get a hold of, Yeah, I think probably my Gerber, my little multi-tool, I'd probably use that. But even that would bother me, because I don't know if it's the imagination or if you can actually feel the texture through the tool, but
wow.
This is the first time I've ever talked about this, I think, in depth. Right?
Keep going. Like when you go to the doctor's office, do you have special requests? Like, can you pour the fluid on the hand? Whatever, like
I don't remember ever.
Like if you have to get a shot, like they have to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's going to bother me, and it's not so much because somebody else. Okay. You don't have. Yeah. I'll just die. Yeah. You don't feel it too much, like, because you get shots like in the arm or in the ass, right? So you don't feel that too much, and they're dabbing, they're not rubbing it over you. So, but watching them pull the cotton ball out of whatever is going to screw me up. Yeah, I'm going to be sitting there like
because you just have to look away.
Or if you get blood drawn, or anytime they put like the cotton ball and then the Band-Aid or the tape, you got to deal with that later. Yeah. So I'll just like take the tape off and like not be able to even look at that cotton ball and throw it away.
Could you just tell them this? If they just took cotton off the Q-tip, is that all of a sudden now it's no longer a Q-tip, it's a cotton ball?
It's small enough, I don't think it would be a problem, but I would still look at it funny, like, am I going to be able to do this?
It is amazing. Like, this is like life changing. Like you can't go to the doctor right now. And it's not because of pride. It's not because you're too because most people I haven't had healthcare for a long time, but when I did, I can't afford this.
Yeah.
You just got to tough it out. You just got to tough it out. Who cares if you have a copay? I have used my copay one time because I thought I was having heart problems on Christmas Day.
Damn.
On Christmas Day, I woke up with like chest pains, and I'm like, okay, we can go to the doctor at this point. And so I told them, and I sat in there, and they ran an EKG on me, and basically told me that I'm a little bitch. And that's what because they were like, it's nothing with your heart. And so I'm like, oh, so I'm paying $200 to find out that I'm just a pansy.
Jesus. You got a $200 copay?
Because I went to an emergency room.
Oh, God. Okay.
But it's like this. There's a Baylor Hospital emergency room. I'm like, I'm going to go not to care now. I'm going to go to a real hospital where if there is a problem.
Because I'm worth it.
Well, I just was like, well, they can wheel me into a real operating room. It's not like I have to wait for some ambulance to Uber me to the hospital to cost me more money. I'm going to be in the hospital.
Well, I'm like you, man. I'm not going to the hospital or clinic or anything for anything arbitrary. Yeah. So, I mean, if you feel like you're having a heart attack, sure, you're going to make the extra block.
I was like, I got chest pains, and then I went to, I was at Walmart, and I was like, you know what, let's just take her blood pressure. And it said, like, danger. And I was like,
oh, shit. It said that on the screen?
Yeah, and it was wrong. Dead wrong.
Oh, God.
And so I'm like,
thanks, Walmart.
I was like, awesome. I'm like, awesome. I'm just sitting here, borderline thinking, this is how I'm going to die on Christmas Day. This is how we live.
So what was going on? Did something bring it on?
I just woke up.
Stress,
I don't
or-
know. It was indigestion is what I think, but I just woke up.
You got gas.
Pretty much is what they told me. That they just like, here, have this antacid cocktail of put your shirt back on, dry those tears.
It seems like if like if you go get your state inspection and you don't pass, then they don't charge you. Wouldn't it be nice if you go to the hospital for something like that and they're like, you're not having a heart attack. Get out
I'm
of here,
afraid they
kid.
charge me more. Like, you've just wasted our time and money.
We actually thought we were going to get like a whole
Like-
procedure out of you,
Yeah.
so that was the
Like,
discount rate.
your insurance is declining you because of how much of a bitch you are right now. You're being dropped.
Oh, you didn't see the fine print, the no bitch clause at the bottom?
Obviously, you cried in a doctor's office. You're not eligible for Blue Cross Blue Shield anymore.
As soon as a tear came out, your coverage was dropped. Man.
So, how do you feel about pillows? Does it make you nervous to know that pillows are just cotton and it's just fabric, a wall of fabric? As long as you don't see the cotton, you're fine, right?
Ryan, I wish you had have never said that. I hadn't thought about it. Now I've got to go check all my damn pillows.
Goose down. Just goose down or memory foam, just feathers or...
Goose down's the shit, unless you live in Texas, because it's always hot. Goose down's good in like cold environments. If you don't mind getting poked randomly every once in a while, unexpectedly by the ass end of a feather. Yeah, I never thought of that. It's not been a problem until just right now.
That's what we do here at Some of All Fears podcast. We don't just talk about your fears, we introduce you to new ones.
A big thank you to you and your co-host for making it worse.
Like I said, she just grabbed the pen as soon as I told her, and she just went to town. And let's see, she also asked, how do you handle going by a Build-A-Bear workshop when they have all that stuffing? Because you ever see those if you go to Northeast Mall, they have one.
I think I would probably assume it was all like synthetic, and I would be okay.
But it's just all cotton, like it's just a thing just throwing cotton everywhere. And this,
I don't have kids, so every time I see a Build-A-Bear, I think I avoid it.
how do you feel? How do you feel about going to the Dallas Cotton Bowl? It's a really good one.
Cotton Bowl. Yeah, the name doesn't really bother me too much.
Does the logo bother you? Does the logo just...
What is the logo?
Cotton.
Is it natural
Yeah,
cotton?
it's just a natural cotton.
The bud,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I don't think I've ever really paid attention to that too much. Yeah. Good observation, though.
So you're okay with socks? Since they're made of
Socks are
cotton.
fine. Yeah, I'm. As far as like cotton and fabric, I don't think I've ever had any trouble with that. Now, like corduroy, doesn't that mess with everybody?
Yes.
That's a texture that screws me
Yeah,
up.
that's a very aggressive texture because it sounds like something's rubbing.
Nobody likes corduroy. Does that even exist? Do they still
I'm
make
sure
that?
they do.
You can find it at Goodwill and probably garage sales.
I had
but
corduroy back in the day, back in the
Yeah,
early 2000s when
how the hell was that ever popular? Did it save money? What was the deal with
I
that?
think it was just that it was a soft fabric, and so it was very comfortable.
corduroy.
Because it's a almost like plush. And so, how has you have touched on it a little bit, but how has the fear of cotton balls really changed your life? Like it does.
That's really it, man. I mean, cotton balls, you won't catch me having those in the house. Like, I don't need them. I'll use something else. I don't
Paper towels or
paper towels are fine.
rags.
Yeah.
It,
But so no cotton balls in the house, and if
you have to get medication.
medication is the only issue, because that's the only place you encounter cotton balls that you have to like touch in order to get to something
Yeah.
else. And then I've only got one story of the guys messing with me by putting cotton balls on my door handle. So
Yep, and that affects the others know about your fear and how they treat you.
yeah.
So you talked about how you manage it is you just let other people do it for you. Like,
Yeah.
have you never tried to really just take this on, or
I've had to. Yeah, there's been situations where I can't remember what the medication was, whether it was acid reflux or headache medicine, but I've had to just
what
take
about
control
latex
of the
gloves? You
situation.
have like the gloves like during the pandemic and just use that.
That wouldn't work.
It doesn't.
No freaking way. You mean to use the gloves to get
Put
the
the
cotton
glove
out?
on your hands, and then you can touch the cotton because it's not touchy. It's not tactile at that point.
I'd still feel it. I'd still feel it, and I'd still see it. So it's
so
like
even just seeing it, you
disconnected.
just feel it in your mind already. You
Yeah.
it already.
Thank God they don't have a smell, right?
We used to just drop them at the grocery store,
Oh,
and
really?
it would bounce back up.
Oh, at the grocery store.
When they were like, one of them was dysfunctional, we had to like get rid of them. So
Oh, okay. You're an employee there. I thought you're some asshole showing up at the Albertsons and just wrecking biscuit cans.
I am not physically capable.
Oh, again, yeah, okay.
I am the bullied, not the bully.
Oh, come on. Bullies aren't cool anymore. It's weird.
I noticed you mentioned, I listened to one of your podcasts, you mentioned Terlingua, and I was like, I do want to go to
my
base camp.
God.
Terlingua. I was like, I want to do one of those bubbles one time.
Man, every time somebody brings it up now, it's getting under my skin and we got to go. It just keeps coming up.
You can go. Like,
obviously, I kind of influenced
You
this
can do
one.
the
but
TP and the,
I saw that. Yeah. And with the glass top.
Yeah.
What is that?
bubble. It's not glass.
Is it a room or is it just like a
It's
bed?
an inflatable room. It's just it's all
Okay.
inflatable. So you're in like a moon bounce, and
Yeah.
you just look up.
And that's all still there.
The bubbles are still booked up, but you can
Shit.
do the teepees or the, like I guess the looks like little ovens.
Mhm.
You can have those. They're open to the outdoors, so it's like you might want to wear shoes because they can get snakes and stuff. But
Yeah, man.
but it would be
I don't-
cool. I just was like, I would spend a weekend doing that. I would spend a weekend out there just.
I might go for a week. I was thinking about buying property out
They
there.
have they also have in that base camp. They have rooms like pueblos and stuff that you can stay in.
Yeah. Mhm.
But they TP in the tent, but the bubbles are what get it. I'm like, I want to do the bubble.
Yeah. Those look cool as
I
shit.
just was like, I'm not a morning person, so that's the only bad thing is, but that looks amazing at sundown. But sun up, you're just waking up at 6 a.m, whether you like it or
God
not.
damn it.
Doesn't matter how late you stay up, you're getting up at 6 a.m. because there's not.
And what's the AC like? Because that's important.
If you leave it unzipped, they say it'll start to deflate, and so you have to zip it up. But I'm sure it's fine because it's got to keep it inflated, so you got AC at all times.
Okay.
But I was like, that would be a cool weekend, just to maybe a honeymoon weekend or something, just to have it, 1 or 2 nights where you're just staring at stars.
I didn't realize they were inflatable.
Yeah,
That's weird.
I did all my research. As soon as I saw the pictures, I'm like, where is that?
Did me talking about Terlingua? Okay, so you've known about
I've
it.
known about it, and you just rang because I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I want to do that because somebody else posted a picture on Facebook, and it was her in a bubble, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And so it said Terlingua as the location, so I started looking at it, and I started looking at Base Camp Terlingua.
Yeah. So far, I've got Lauren Kutschka and her dog and her husband, Lindsay Hightower and Taylor from Hightower Band, and maybe Jake Ferris. I can't remember who else was wanting to go. But all these people are supposed to load up in my mobile podcast studio, and we're going to take a trip down to Terlingua. Start a campfire, get really drunk, howl at the moon. I don't know. It's going to be fun. Do a series of podcasts while we're down there. You're welcome to come.
I'll do it. I'll
You can stay in your bubble.
I'll do a bubble, or I'll do one of not the TP, but the modified tent or whatever they call it. It's like they're like
I don't
$120.
think I saw that.
Like 120. There's TPs, and I can't remember what they're called, but they're open, but they're covered inside. So you go in, and it's just a room, and you have a community shower.
So it's like a pavilion.
Yeah,
Kinda.
open air.
No sides, just the top.
And you take your luggage up there. It's a bedroom, and you got a little mini fridge.
Damn, dude. Yeah, the snakes, man. Because the snakes out there don't play. They're hungry.
But I know they wouldn't come into your room if it's light or cold.
How sure are you? Sure enough to run around without any shoes on?
I'm terrified of snakes. That's my number one.
Really?
That is my number
Oh,
one.
you have more than one.
Oh yeah, I've got tons of fear.
Okay. Oh.
That's why I've started doing this podcast. Like I could do 3 episodes on me, easy.
I got to tell you that the strangest thing about the cotton ball thing is, I've got a lot of friends, and so if I say that my friends would all say that statement already starts off at a lie. But I have enough friends that have told me that it's shocking how fearless I am. Not in like a brave Rambo type way,
Just
more like a
Easy going.
village idiot kind of way. Like I'm just not afraid of anything. So
But that's gotta. You have way more fun in life. Like I said, there's no hesitation. Like you're not on a high dive, just standing there, like weighing the possibilities.
As a kid, I think I had a lot of damn fears as a kid. Maybe something just kind of broke me out of it, but
I will say doing stand-up has got me over a few fears. Like
I bet.
Because I used to be afraid of relationships. I'm afraid of all these different things, and just being able to, I would say, think about me and just get to a place where I'm comfortable with who I am has made me better, because I used to be terrified of all these different things. And
right.
when you do comedy and you write, you just have to think about your life and just try to find the, bright spots and the, out of your pain, try to find all the joy.
Yeah. Well, I think if anybody's going to be honest, just about everybody's afraid of getting in front of a group of people, and speaking. That's terrifying to most people. So that right there alone has got to...
I will tell you that rush of doing it is probably what drives me to do it some more.
Really?
Because it's so addictive. It's such an adrenaline rush to just be up there and just, you're listening to me. I'm a captive audience.
Huh. I've talked in front of, I've done 2 or 3 times. I've done public speaking, and that's nerve-wracking for sure. I can't imagine, okay, you're in front of people, you're going to talk, and they expect you to be funny?
And then when you do it, you're just shivering.
Yeah.
At that point, just like, oh, this is fantastic. Best feeling in the world. So, Andrew, I thank you for doing this.
Dude, this is my honor. Thank you.
Where can people find you?
So every single thing I'm doing right now is at fortworthroots.com. I'm currently trying to list in more directories, but it takes time to do that. So right now, on the day that we are recording this, I can tell you that we're on Spotify. We're on the Apple Podcast directories. So I think that's iTunes and Apple Podcast. You can
do the same thing.
Okay. So
they changed it into where it's iTunes is no longer, it's just music, and then podcast is podcast.
Yeah. But I'll tell you right now, if you have an Android phone, as far as I know, I cannot get Apple anything on my phone.
It should be Google. Android has their own podcast platform.
That you can access Apple material through?
Oh, is it? I think they it would just put it on that directory.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying
I think it's Google
access.
Play. That's what.
Okay, because I think I'm on that one too. But I know for sure I'm on the Apple Store for podcast. I'm on Spotify, and then you can go directly to my website, and it's got its own player there. But love to have your fans that now that this has aired, all of your fans for sure.
With any luck, we'll have some.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. And whenever you do launch, make sure you let me know. I'm sure I'll be paying attention to your social media anyway, but let me know, and I'll put it on all my stuff too.
Okay. Well, thank you again for doing this. Get you back here, and we'll talk about one of your other fears that you seem to not know about. You have. We'll find one. We'll find some, because people we don't realize it. Like, oh yeah, I'm afraid of that too.
Yeah, for sure.
People start talking about their fears. Like, one of them is afraid of roaches. Like, I'm kind of afraid of roaches. Like, when they get those wings, what are you doing?
Wait a minute. They have wings?
Some of them do. Yeah, they'll fly at you.
Jesus Christ!
And they fly. It's not June bugs where it's just reckless. They fly at you with evil intent. Like, they are coming after you. They're like, it is their final charge. They're like 300. It's like the end of 300 where they're coming at Xerxes.
Oh, I'd lose my goddamn mind.
See, we got another episode out of you. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, man.
So that was Andrew Turner. I never considered the anxiety of touching something as a fear. That just seeing the item in your mind immediately goes to that fear. Stephen King actually has a similar fear that he talks about in his book On Writing, where as a kid, he was having constant ear infections and he had a lot of shots in his ear. And so now he doesn't like the smell of rubbing alcohol. That the smell, even now, this many years later, takes him back to being that scared child. I don't have any fears that are really tactile. Well, maybe like touching something that's super gross or slimy. But with the gloves, I become way more courageous. Make sure you check out Andrew's podcast, Fort Worth Roots, wherever you listen to podcasts. This weekend, make sure you catch me at Hyannis Fort Worth with Chris Porter. A link to that will be provided in the show notes, as well as for Fort Worth Roots. Thanks again for listening. And now some credits and thank yous for the people that make this show possible. Thanks to Barry Whitewater, who does my graphics and design for my comedy as well as my podcast. You can follow him on Instagram at bwhiteh2o. Get it, Whitewater. Also, a big thank you to Gunnar Olsen for my music. You can follow him on Instagram at gunbuns. That's GUNBUNS. You can also check out his website at gunnarolsen.net. And you can check out his awesome EPs and some music he's got coming out. Real excited for him. If you want to follow me on social media, I am at Ryan Perio on all social media. It's RyanPerrio. If you want to follow the show, I highly recommend it. Instagram and Twitter is at Some Fear Fans. Facebook group is Some of All Fears. If you have questions for the show or feedback, email me at somefearfans@gmail.com. If you want to be a guest on the show, also email me at somefearfans@gmail.com. We can make that happen. Please keep leaving reviews on Apple Podcast or whatever podcast platform you listen to. I just appreciate seeing that people like what I'm putting out. So if you like what you hear, go ahead and leave a review. I appreciate all of you for listening. And next week, we'll have another guest with another fear. Thanks for listening to the Some of All Fears.